I'm going to wait until tomorrow to like process this all through my head and see if it's going to go into my 3 stars category where it's just like a forgettable thing, or if it's going to go 2 stars because of the problematic. Hello, today is December 29th, a Sunday, and it's my 35th birthday today. So I've got a bunch of really fun old lady birthday stuff planned for today, and we'll see how it goes. First, I just got back from visiting my parents for Christmas, so I've got a ton of crap that I need to unpack. And somebody is messaging me. I'm sorry for the beeps in the background. Apparently people are wishing me happy birthday today. After that, I've got some videos I want to record for YouTube. I've started that up. Oh my goodness, phone. Please stop. Please stop. Anyway, got some videos I want to record for YouTube today. Right now I am moisturizing my hair. I know you can't tell, but there's a hair mask in there. And then I'll become prettier, put some makeup on after that. I've also been reading a book. I finished my entire TBR for December already. I'm using these last few days in the month to just read extra books that I don't really want to start in 2020, but I want to just get over and done with. Right now, I am reading an ebook, which is Tigers Not Daughters. It's an ARC that I received from NetGalley, and I just kind of want to clear out all of my NetGalley ARCs before the end of the year is up, because I'm not really going to have a lot of time to read ARCs going into next year with all the things that I have planned for next year. If you're interested in what those plans are, throughout January I'm going to be releasing different videos with yearly TBRs and like long-term plans. So that's all for right now. I'll check back in, let you know about that book later, let you know if I end up doing anything else. Good morning. It is Monday, December 30th today, and I've spent most of the morning cleaning my house, vacuuming, the fun stuff that no one ever wants to do, but you kind of have to as an adult. Yay. I am about to continue reading Tigers Not Daughters on my Kindle. It's an ARC that I have. I didn't get a chance to read any yesterday. I honestly spent most of the day after unpacking and running some errands, catching up on my YouTube videos that I didn't watch when I was visiting my parents. So that's what I did all day yesterday. I plan to run some errands today, but I have been feeling like absolute crap. Shout out to all my ladies out there. You know what I'm talking about. Oh my god, it sucks. Anyway, I am 22% into this book, and it says I have 2 hours and 12 minutes left in this book, so it's obviously a fairly short book. I really have no idea what this is about. Like, so far in the book, these 5 daughters basically keep trying to run away from home, and they have a single father, and then apparently one of the times that they're trying to run away, and they get caught every single time that they try to run away apparently, but one of the times when they're trying to run away, one of their sisters dies by falling out of her bedroom window. And it hasn't explained why these girls are trying to run away other than they hate their father, but you haven't really seen anything about their father that makes it makes sense that they keep trying to run away. So I'm going to take some time to finish this book up, and then I will come back and talk about what I thought about it in a couple hours. Hey, I'm back with a really quick update. Earlier when I was talking about Tigers Not Daughters, I said that it was 5 sisters, but apparently it's only 4 sisters. I made up an imaginary 5th sister, and I kind of wanted to give a little bit of update on what's going on in the book. First, the sisters are Anna, Jessica, Iridian, and Rosa. Anna's the one who died, and then their father's name is Rafe. So apparently the problem with the father and why they keep trying to run away, which so far doesn't really make any sense to me, is the father is really big on family, but he's not very good at taking care of himself or others. So the girls have to kind of like raise themselves and raise each other, and then they have to like treat their father like a child. So they feed him, make sure he bathes, different things like that. He makes sure he shows up to work. He owes a lot of people money, borrows money, doesn't seem to pay them back. And he seems to be in really bad debt. So he's just like a shitty father, but so far I'm not seeing any signs of like abuse or a sexual assault or anything like that, which would really make sense to me, is to try to run away. But the father's very selfish. He acts like he's the only one who lost a wife or daughter, and that the girls have no right to be sad or anything like that. And then the story is basically the girls trying to cope with the loss of their sister and just the different ways that they're doing it. It's told from multiple perspectives. You get the 3 girls in present day, and then you get like a past tense kind of, or it's not past tense. I mean, it is past tense, but that's not what I'm looking for. It's like things that happened in the past. So like the first time they tried to run away, and then their funeral, or Anna's funeral, and you get that timeline told from a neighboring boy. And if they said his name, I don't remember it. But yeah, I don't remember why I picked this book off of NetGalley. I read this synopsis before requesting the books, but when I go to read them, I don't typically reread the synopsis if I've forgotten about it. And so far there are no fantasy magical systems in this story, which is typically what I read about. This is just a small Hispanic family in San Antonio, Texas, who have lost their oldest sister in like a tragic accident, and just their way of coping with her death. Not typically something I would read. I don't particularly care for it so far, but I'm still pretty early in it. I really will be back at the end and then tell you everything else at that point. Alright, so I just finished Tigers Not Daughters, and I didn't like it. At least I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. So I was wondering why I'd pick it up, because I don't typically read like contemporary novels. I found out I picked it up because it's a horror story. Apparently about like 30% into the book you find out that Anna is a ghost. So that's why I picked it up. It's very much a character-driven story, and all of the characters are deeply flawed, and at least to me, extremely unlikable. Like, I really hated all of the characters. The boy narrator came more into the story later. His name is Peter, and he is probably the most likable character, except for he's, how do I describe it? He's kind of like the character, like the main narrator in 13 Reasons Why, where he just doesn't act. Like, he does all of the wrong things because he's scared. And I just don't like that kind of character. I mean, later in the book, he like fights, gets in a fist fight for one of the girls, and he's supposed to be like the sweet boy who helps, like, who talks to all the old ladies and helps with the children and everything like that. But he's really just timid, which I guess is normal for a teen, but I just don't like them. He also used to spy, like, you're introduced to him in the very first chapter by him watching the dead sister Anna strip off her clothes and get completely naked in her bedroom window every night, which is fucking creepy. So overall, I didn't like the story. It's mostly forgettable, and I don't think I recommend it to anybody. Alright, so I'm back a little bit. I want to explain some more about the characters in the book, because I explained why I didn't like... Okay, I explained why I didn't like Peter. Because he was supposed to be the likable character, and he still was super freaking creepy. But I want to explain why I didn't like the other characters. So Anna's the oldest sister, and she's the dead one. So she doesn't really make much of an appearance in the book to begin with, because she's just a ghost. But when she, like, the things you see about her, like her sister's remembering things about her, she was a teenager, and a lot of the things she does are forgivable just because she's a teenager. But she would climb out of her window, she'd sleep around with a lot of boys. She was just kind of a, without slut shaming, she was a very stereotypical slutty girl. Now, the next oldest sister is Jessica, and Jessica is a stereotypical mean girl, and she struggles with her sister's death, and her way of coping is she just tries to become her sister. She starts dating her sister's boyfriend, who is like physically abusive. He hits her, he bruises her face, all sorts of horrible stuff like that throughout the entire book. Like, he's a shitty person, but she also just keeps going back to this shitty boy, and that doesn't work for me in a book, because a young teenage girl reading this might think that it's okay to behave like that. Like, your boyfriend treats you like shit, but this character that I admire in a book goes back to him, so it's okay for me to go back to my boyfriend who treats me like shit. Like, there's nothing in this book that says what the way Jessica behaves is just so horribly awful. The next sister is Iridian, and she's like so antisocial it's bordering on like a psychosis. She dropped out of school in the 10th grade because a girl, like another mean girl in her school, stole her notebook where she had been writing like notes about a romance novel, and she basically read it out to the cafeteria, and it was just basically where she was making notes to herself that she was wondering if somebody would sleep with her just so she could experience sex and then write about it, which, I mean, high school things, it's bullying, it's mean. but it just shows how much worse their father is for allowing her to drop out of school. And she just becomes this person who never leaves the house. Her entire obsession is just writing like these stories of romance novels. She blocks out of the rest of the world. She's just a really, really weird person. She's also terrified of her oldest sister's ghost. Like, she's afraid to leave the house, but she's afraid of her sister's ghost, which is haunting the house. And so she ends up just spending almost the entire book on the couch, which is weird. She's a really, really weird person, and she's not relatable at all. Like, if you relate to this girl, I really strongly encourage you to speak to somebody, because her behavior is not healthy. Even at the end of the book, she just gets worse instead of getting better as far as her, like, not leaving the house writing psychosis goes. It's a really worrying character trait, and again, like, the author doesn't address that this child's behavior is not okay, and it's worrisome. The youngest sister, Rosa, is also really weird, but in a completely different way. She is like mystical. Her sisters seem to think that she's got some sort of like magical ability, but there's no real proof of it. Mostly it's just coincidence. Like, all of the fireflies will blink at the exact same time because she's thinking about fireflies. She's really obsessed with being outside, being in nature, and going to church. She's Catholic. She goes to church every Sunday. She's the only one in the family who does. And then she spends time speaking to her priest every Sunday. Also, her priest is an asshole. Her priest, like, punched her father. It's very problematic. This girl is probably the most well-rounded. I wouldn't even say well-rounded. I could see where she's supposed to be a likable character, but she's also not good. Like, she spends her entire, like, almost the entire book outdoors walking around, trying to find a hyena that escaped from the zoo that she thinks is possessed by her sister's spirit. It's a really weird plot point that doesn't really come of anything in the book other than like a dramatic conclusion that could have easily been accomplished in 80 trillion ways that don't involve a hyena. Her behavior may be the least worrisome, but it's still not good. She is kind but cruel. She likes the look of blood. She wants people to get hurt in certain circumstances. And it's very, what is the word I'm looking for? She's very sociopathic. I think that's the best way to describe her. Is she is very sociopathic. Like, she can empathize with animals, but she doesn't empathize at all with human beings. She's the only one not afraid of her sister's ghost. It's just weird. Like, the whole book was so weird and so problematic, and it's even more problematic knowing that it's targeted at teenage girls who are very impressionable, and then they're going to see the behavior of these girls, and then to see that everything turns out lovely in the end for them, even though their behavior is still awful and still getting worse. None of the real problems in this book were ever addressed. It's all like the weird non-problems that are addressed. Like, the dad vanishes more at the end. And that's a good thing, even though they're young teenage girls and they have no guardian. That's a resolution. And the sister Anna, like, she does something to basically traumatize Jessica's boyfriend John, who's abusive, but no one really ever helps Jessica with like the abusive, like the fact that her boyfriend's abusing her. She never addresses the fact that her boyfriend is abusing her and that it is not okay. It's just he abuses her, and then Anna basically attacks him like a ghost out of a horror movie. And it kind of like, you don't really get a resolution to that or find out exactly what happened. Basically, Jessica just locks him in the house with Anna and you hear screaming. So it's like, that's not a resolution to somebody constantly beating the shit out of you. Like, what is going on? And then like she ends up with the guy whose name I keep forgetting. Obviously this guy is a shitty character if I can't remember his name. His name is Peter. Peter, who is supposed to be like the good, well-rounded guy, ends up accidentally hitting Jessica with his truck at the end of this book, right? This is like the big thing. Jessica hits the stupid hyena with her car, and then Rosa jumps or like runs out of the neighborhood. She's not even in the car. She runs out of the neighborhood and then presses her ear to the hyena in the middle of a rainstorm while it's dying in the road because she wants to hear its dying heartbeat, thus being sociopathic. And then Peter comes out of nowhere in his truck and he's about to hit Jessica, or no, he's about to hit Rosa with his truck, and Jessica dives in the way and pushes Rosa out of the way, and then Peter hits her with his truck. And obviously this was accidental, but it's still showing like a trend of abuse towards this girl. And she ends up with him. She lives. Apparently, back to the magical realism thing that they've got going on with Rosa, is Rosa, instead of stopping a heart, starts Jessica's heart again magically. But maybe she didn't. Maybe it's just her imagination or like a whimsical thing. There's no real proof. It's weird. But even after all of this, like, Peter and Jessica end up together. And even though the trucking thing is an accident, it's still just a trend of abuse from men. Like, why? Why did the hyena need to be in there? Why are these girls so fucked up? And why does the author make it seem like it's okay for these girls to be so fucked up? Like, I'm just baffled by this book. As you can tell, I don't particularly like it. I'm going to wait until tomorrow to like process this all through my head and see if it's going to go into my 3 stars category where it's just like a forgettable thing, or if it's going to go 2 stars because of the problematic. Sorry, I had to pause the camera for a minute. I ordered pizza and it showed up. So I'm going to wait until tomorrow to determine if this is going to be a 3-star read, which just means that it was fine but forgettable, or a 2-star read, which means like I just didn't like it because it was so problematic. I don't think it's gonna get a 1-star because I wasn't like struggling to get through it and like just absolutely hating it, But right now, with just how disgusted I am at how the author approaches the problems in these girls' life and doesn't address that any of these things that they're doing is just so incredibly, horrifically flawed. And that he or she, I don't remember if this is written by a man or a woman. I think it's by a woman. Let's look. This is by Samantha Mabry, so a woman. So the fact that this is a character-driven story and you should identify with at least one of the characters in this story, and that the author somehow thinks that that's okay, just bothers me. Unless the point, and I could be completely missing it, was that you're supposed to hate everybody in this story, but it's not really written like that. It's just written as all of these girls are so deeply flawed, and it's not only flawed from the trauma of their sister's death, but just flawed because their father is a horrible, horrible father and can't raise them. And I get, like, people are flawed. It's okay to write flawed characters, but not addressing to your young audience that these flaws are like things that need to be addressed for your own mental health is what's bothering me about this. That writing off these flaws as things that are just fine. It's like, oh well, yeah, she's crazy and she lets guys beat her up all the time, but her sister's ghost is gonna save her. No! It's not okay. It's not okay. All right, I'm gonna stop ranting about this book, and we'll get back tomorrow with maybe a recap of how I feel about this book and then what I'm going to read. Tomorrow's the 31st, so that means I still have one day in December before I want to start my 2020 books, and I think I'm going to try to read the second book in the Scythe series. I don't know what the name of the book is off the top of my head. I know the name of the third book is The Toll, but I can never remember the name of the second book. I also need to buy it or get it from the library or whatever, get it on my Kindle, but we'll figure out if I actually end up reading that tomorrow or if I end up reading something else completely different, or if I end up reading nothing at all. But I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's Tuesday, December 31st. Happy almost New Year. So the book that I read yesterday was garbage. I ranted a lot about that. I'm sure you've already seen that part. And I decided to give it 2 stars because of just how problematic it was, even if I didn't mind reading it and it was a short read. I wasn't like bored reading it at any time. I just thought it was so problematic that I'm not okay with it. So today I have gone to the library where I got my little stack of books here. Those are going to be part of an upcoming video, and then I'll edit the video that's going out tomorrow, and then I'll read. So I'll update you guys later with what I think of Thunderhead once I actually start reading it. Hello again. It's New Year's Day, and I've spent the entire day reading Thunderhead. Yay! I finished it. This was really good. Most middle books suffer from like a hard middle book syndrome, but the ending of this book was so freaking amazing. I don't even know how to deal with it. Let's zoom out a little bit. I don't know why that was zoomed in slightly, but yeah, that was amazing. I'm still processing. I'm very, very excited to read the third book in the Scythedom series because I want to know what happens. I want crazy AI and sci-fi things that I never want in books ever. But yeah. What else is going on? So apparently there's been some like feedback on my videos with my mic. I have no idea what's causing it. It's really bad on some videos and it's not bad at all on other videos, and I'm not changing anything. So I don't even know if you can hear it right now or not. You may be able to. This vlog could be completely horrific. But let's see. I'm using a Canon Rebel T7i and a Rode mic attached to it. I have no idea. If you guys happen to know what could possibly be causing that, please let me know. I'm going to move on to reading. What am I going to read? Let's go look. I think I'm going to spend the rest of the day reading The Wizard of Oz. And it's a very short book. I'm surprised at how short The Wizard of Oz is as a book. But it is. And I'm going to read this really quick today. Why I'm reading The Wizard of Oz is going to be in an upcoming video. So stay tuned for, I believe it's this weekend's video. We'll tell you why I'm reading The Wizard of Oz. But I will see you tomorrow. So I just got home from work and I have a lot of stuff to do today. So first off, I am about a little over halfway through with The Wizard of Oz. It's a good book. It's a children's tale, so there's not a whole lot going on there. It's very, very similar to the movie, except for the funniest thing is different is in the book they're not ruby red slippers, they're silver slippers, and I was just so thrown off by the silver slippers that it's been stuck in my head for like over 24 hours now, which is just hilarious. After I finish that, I have this lovely thing that I'm going to put together. It's a book cart. I'm going to put that together to store my TBRs and kind of to help out with videos and stuff like that. I also have laundry. Super fun. Laundry is the plan for tonight. After I put together my cart, finish The Wizard of Oz, and do laundry, which I can do while reading, obviously. I'm going to read my weekly chapters for The Curiosities, which is my book club book of this month. I don't actually know what it's about. I didn't bother looking. It was just like the book club was like, hey, we're reading The Curiosity. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And then I picked it up and didn't even read a synopsis or anything like that. Also at work today, it was my first day back to work after the holidays. And I had a little bit of downtime towards the end of the day. There's not plurals there, but I started reading Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I'm reading it. I have a physical copy somewhere that I got from my library. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. Ooh, that lighting. So I have a physical copy of Heart of Darkness, and I don't know how far I am in the book compared to like an ebook, right? So it says I have like an hour and 40 minutes to go, and I think I read probably about an hour's worth today, so maybe a third away through the book. I don't know if this copy does the same, but ebook that I borrowed from my library has like 2 stories in it, and Heart of Darkness is like the second story. So it's really, really hard to judge like percentage wise how far I am in, because it says I'm like 60 something percent, but I skipped over an entire story that I didn't want to read. But that's basically today. Pretty boring, unless you like working a lot. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey, it's Saturday, January 4th today, and it's nighttime, but I've had quite the productive day. I got a video recorded or re-recorded and edited. When I was doing the edits the first time around, it was really pretty bad, and I had left out a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about, so I just re-recorded the whole thing, went back through and edited it. That's too many edits. That was too many edits. But I edited it. Why does that word sound so funny? Anyway, did that, published it, got that all done. Yay. I finished building my cart here. Isn't it cute? So got that done. I finished The Wizard of Oz. Very short book, but I did finish it. I'm partway through The Octopus. Where's my bookmark? About right there, is how far I've got in. I haven't gotten very far in. It's a rough read, to say the least. Very descriptive, words that just aren't really in use anymore, so you have to read a lot slower than I typically read. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I didn't record anything on the vlog yesterday because I was not feeling very good. I got home from work and just instantly went to bed. I didn't do anything at all amusing. But I will see you next week, and we'll see how much fun that is. Later, guys.